Are you ready to dive into one of the most thrilling and dramatic stories written in the Bible? Brace yourself for the epic story of Samson and Delilah, a tale of extraordinary strength, breathtaking love, and heart-wrenching betrayal straight from the pages of the Bible. Journey with us through the book of Judges, chapters 13 to 16, as we unravel the mystery of Samson's unparalleled power and the woman who brought him to his knees. Before we begin, please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you won't miss any future episodes. Now let's embark on this unforgettable journey together and discover the timeless lessons hidden in the story of Samson and Delilah. Samson's birth and early life, Judges 13. The story of Samson begins in a period when the Israelites were under the oppression of the Philistines. An angel of the Lord appeared to the wife of Manoah, a man of the tribe of Dan. She was barren and had no children. The angel announced that she would conceive and bear a son who was to be a Nazirite from birth. This meant he was to abstain from wine and other fermented drink, avoid touching anything unclean, and never have his hair cut. The angel's instructions were clear. No razor shall come upon his head, for the child shall be a Nazirite to God from the womb, and he shall begin to save Israel from the hand of the Philistines. Judges chapter 13:5. Manoah prayed for the angel to return to instruct them further on how to raise the child. The angel reappeared and repeated the instructions to both Manoah and his wife. When the child was born, they named him Samson, and he grew, and the Lord blessed him. Early feats in marriage. Judges chapter 14. As Samson grew older, he sought a wife among the Philistines, which troubled his parents. However, this was part of God's plan to confront the Philistines. On his way to Timnah to meet his future wife, Samson encountered a young lion. The Spirit of the Lord came powerfully upon him, and he tore the lion apart with his bare hands. Judges chapter 14, 5-6. Later, Samson returned to marry the Philistine woman. During the wedding feast, he posed a riddle to 30 Philistine companions. Out of the eater came something to eat, and out of the strong came something sweet. The riddle was based on his earlier experience with the lion, whose carcass he had found with a swarm of bees and honey inside. Judges chapter 14:14. The Philistines could not solve the riddle and coerced Samson's wife to extract the answer from him. Under duress, she succeeded, and Samson, furious, went to Ashkelon, killed 30 men, and gave their garments to the companions as the prize. He then returned to his father's house, and his wife was given to another man. Judges chapter 14:19-20. Conflict and victory. Judges chapter 15. When Samson returned to visit his wife, he discovered she had been given to someone else. In revenge, he caught 300 foxes, tied their tails together in pairs with torches, and released them into the Philistines' grain fields, burning their crops. Judges chapter 15:4-5. The Philistines retaliated by burning Samson's wife and her father. Enraged, Samson attacked them viciously, slaughtering many. He then retreated to a cave in the rock of Etam. The Philistines pursued him, and the men of Judah, fearing retribution, bound Samson to hand him over. However, the Spirit of the Lord came upon him again, and he broke free from the ropes, picking up the jawbone of a donkey to kill 1,000 Philistine men. Judges chapter 15:9-15. The fall and redemption of Samson. Judges chapter 16. In the days when the Israelites were oppressed by the Philistines, there lived a man of extraordinary strength named Samson. His feats and battles against the Philistines were legendary, but his greatest challenge came not from the battlefield, but from his own heart. Samson in Gaza. One day, Samson went to Gaza and visited a prostitute. When the people of Gaza learned that Samson was there, they surrounded the place and lay in wait for him all night at the city gate. They kept quiet, saying, "At dawn, we'll kill him." But Samson lay only until the middle of the night. Then he got up and took hold of the doors of the city gate, together with the 2 posts, and tore them loose, bar and all. He lifted them to his shoulders and carried them to the top of the hill that faces Hebron. Judges chapter 16:1-3. Samson and Delilah. Sometime later, Samson fell in love with a woman in the valley of Sorek, whose name was Delilah. The rulers of the Philistines went to her and said, "See if you can lure him into showing you the secret of his great strength and how we can overpower him so we may tie him up and subdue him. Each one of us will give you 1,100 shekels of silver." Judges chapter 16:4-5. Delilah said to Samson, "Tell me the secret of your great strength and how you can be tied up and subdued." Samson answered her, "If anyone ties me with 7 fresh bowstrings that have not been dried, I'll become as weak as any other man." Then the rulers of the Philistines brought her 7 fresh bowstrings that had not been dried, and she tied him with them. With men hidden in the room, she called to him, "Samson, the Philistines are upon you." But he snapped the bowstrings as easily as a piece of string snaps when it comes close to a flame. So the secret of his strength was not discovered. Judges chapter 16:6-9. Delilah said to Samson, "You have made a fool of me. You lied to me. Come now, tell me how you can be tied." He said, If anyone ties me securely with new ropes that have never been used, I'll become as weak as any other man." So Delilah took new ropes and tied him with them. Then, with men hidden in the room, she called to him, "Samson, the Philistines are upon you." But he snapped the ropes off his arms as if they were threads. Judges chapter 16, 10-12. Delilah then said to Samson, "All this time you have been making a fool of me and lying to me. Tell me how you can be tied." He replied, "If you weave the 7 braids of my head into the fabric on the loom and tighten it with the pin, I'll become as weak as any other man." So while he was sleeping, Delilah took the 7 braids of his head, wove them into the fabric, and tightened it with the pin. Again she called to him, "Samson, the Philistines are upon you." He awoke from his sleep and pulled up the pin and the loom with the fabric. Judges chapter 16, 13-14. Then she said to him, "How can you say, 'I love you,' when you won't confide in me? This is the 3rd time you have made a fool of me and haven't told me the secret of your great strength." With such nagging, she prodded him day after day until he was sick to death of it. Judges chapter 16, 15-16. So he told her everything. "No razor has ever been used on my head," he said, "because I have been a Nazirite dedicated to God from my mother's womb. If my head were shaved, my strength would leave me, and I would become as weak as any other man." When Delilah saw that he had told her everything, she sent word to the rulers of the Philistines, "Come back once more. He has told me everything." So the rulers of the Philistines returned with the silver in their hands. After putting him to sleep on her lap, she called for someone to shave off the 7 braids of his hair, and so began to subdue him. And his strength left him. Judges chapter 16, 17-19. Then she called, "Samson, the Philistines are upon you." He awoke from his sleep and thought, "I'll go out as before and shake myself free." But he did not know that the Lord had left him. Judges chapter 16, 20. Samson's humiliation and revenge. The Philistines seized him, gouged out his eyes, and took him down to Gaza. Binding him with bronze shackles, they set him to grinding grain in the prison. But the hair on his head began to grow again after it had been shaved. Judges chapter 16, 21-22. Now the rulers of the Philistines assembled to offer a great sacrifice to Dagon their god, and to celebrate, saying, "Our God has delivered Samson, our enemy, into our hands." When the people saw him, they praised their God, saying, "Our God has delivered our enemy into our hands, the one who laid waste our land and multiplied our slain." While they were in high spirits, they shouted, "Bring out Samson to entertain us." So they called Samson out of the prison, and he performed for them. When they stood him among the pillars, Samson said to the servant who held his hand, "Put me where I can feel the pillars that support the temple, so that I may lean against them." Now the temple was crowded with men and women. All the rulers of the Philistines were there, and on the roof were about 3,000 men and women watching Samson perform. Judges chapter 16, 23-27. Then Samson prayed to the Lord, "Sovereign Lord, remember me. Please God, strengthen me just once more, and let me with one blow get revenge on the Philistines for my 2 eyes." Then Samson reached toward the 2 central pillars on which the temple stood. Bracing himself against them, his right hand on the one and his left hand on the other, Samson said, "Let me die with the Philistines." Then he pushed with all his might, and down came the temple on the rulers and all the people in it. Thus he killed many more when he died than while he lived. Judges chapter 16, 28-30. And then his brothers and his father's whole family went down to get him. They brought him back and buried him between Zorah and Eshtaol in the tomb of Manoah his father. He had led Israel 20 years. Judges chapter 16, 31. Samson's story is a complex narrative of divine empowerment, personal flaws, and ultimate sacrifice. Despite his weaknesses and the betrayal he faced, his final act fulfilled his role as a judge and deliverer of Israel. His life underscores the themes of divine strength, human frailty, and the sovereignty of God's plans amidst human actions. It is imperative that we learn the dangers of temptation, as well as the powers of deception. Despite Samson being aware of Delilah's attempts to discover the secret of his strength, he still continued to stay with her. Her manipulation of Samson for personal gain serves as a cautionary tale about the potential dangers of deceit and the importance of discernment in relationships. The people you choose to surround your life with, whether that's family, friends, or a spouse, can lead you to your betterment or detriment in life. These lessons from the story of Samson and Delilah provide valuable insights into human nature, relationships, and faith, encouraging us to live with integrity, wisdom, and most importantly, our reliance on God. Thanks for watching, and may God bless you. Please leave your thoughts and opinions in the comment section, as well as please respect the opinions of others. To follow along and be notified for more biblical posts, please like and subscribe. Thank you.